We begin with breaking news. In the last 90 minutes, we've learned the man accused of killing Charlotte mother Frazier Baker will remain behind bars after facing a judge. Lorenza Inman Jr. was arrested Friday in Maxton. That's about 100 miles southeast of Charlotte.
Inman is facing several charges, including murder. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre joins us live from the courthouse in Uptown. Jesse, what can you tell us?
Well, several family members of Frazier Baker were in court today and also addressed the judge, telling them that Lorenza Inman did not belong on the streets, and they believe that if he was already locked up following his long criminal history, that Frazier Baker might still be alive. Again, Inman in court for his first appearance today, facing several charges, including murder, assault on a female, and domestic violence charges in connection to the death of Frazier Baker. In court, the prosecution read the summary of the charges, while Inman shook his head several times as it was read to him. Baker's family say he mouthed to them that he was sorry. Court documents say Frazier Baker was last seen on December 4th. She dropped off her son with family and did not return home or make contact with loved ones. Surveillance video from a gas station on LaSalle Street shows that the night Baker and Inman were together. Police say it appears to show Inman assaulting her, pushing her, grabbing her by the neck, and throwing a hard item from a cooler that hit her in the back. Days later, police received a tip that Inman, also known as Nunya, said Baker was dead, that she was shot in the head. On December 11th, the detectives found Baker's car behind a church in the Washington Heights area, with Baker inside suffering from apparent head trauma. Baker's family were in court, emotional at time, and say they hope Inman never gets out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. This is Justin Paul. I've been doing several videos on this story that came out of Charlotte. Just really trying to find the right words, man. This guy should have never been on the streets, for one. My condolences to Frazier Baker's family. I know this is definitely a tough time, especially with Christmas being a week away. And really, I just give my heart, send my heart and my prayers out to you. This young lady should have never been in that situation. And once you start hearing the details of them looking at like camera footage from the convenience store and seeing her being abused by this guy, and they said that he took something out of the freezer and threw it at her, like, that's not normal behavior. Of course, if you're in a relationship with someone or someone's courting you, or you're involved with someone, and it gets to that point, man, I'm sure this wasn't the first time, and you got to know when to get yourself out of situations like this. Like, you never really want to stay around and, see the worst of these type of situations, because this is the type of stuff that can happen. You're going to get the short end of the stick every time. I'm not really too familiar with, as far as like all the details as far as their relationship, or how long they had known each other and stuff like that, but you definitely have to be more careful with who you allow close to you. I definitely can say that. It's reported, like they said, that she was shot in the head, so that's very egregious. And for this guy to already have like attempted murder charges and other charges with like assaults against women and stuff like that, one, he should have never been out again, and two, you have to vet people. You have to, a lot of people will lie, of course, we know that, but you really have to take the time to get to know someone before you really like go all in and be fully invested in them. And these are the examples of why you should do that. Very sad, very tragic. I just couldn't imagine the feeling of what they're feeling as far as within the whole family and stuff like that. But we're going to get some of the family's responses here, so I'm going to just let that play.
God makes the decision. I never question God, but I just wanted to know, why did you meet this monster?
I hope you never get out. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about her. That's what I want. Every day you wake up, I want you to think about my baby.
Now, the defense argued that there was no hard evidence tying Inman to the crime, no video, no fingerprints, and so forth, and asked the judge for a bond. That bond request was denied, citing Inman's long and violent criminal history, including multiple cases of violence against women. Inman will remain behind bars with no bond, and his next court date is January 2nd. Live in Uptown, Jesse Pierre.
So, that's a bit of key information there, that they do not have any hard evidence as far as like fingerprints or any type of evidence like that. They are really going off of the fact that they got the camera footage from the convenience store that they had went to, that her car was seen at and stuff like that. This is a very, very unfortunate situation. you know um if it's true that this guy indeed did it, he's just a pure monster. you know I'm not sure what the argument may have been about, but was it worth taking her life over? Was it worth abusing her? What gain did you get out of all of this? And then for you to mouth to the family, that you're sorry, that's pure demonic behavior. I can't even mince my words as far as that is concerned. And then the guy, if this happened in Charlotte, the guy ended up way in Matson, North Carolina, which is, like a small little town hours away from Charlotte. So he was able to get himself out of the Charlotte area and down to Matson, North Carolina, where he thought, he could hide out into the country. But the police officers and law enforcement that brought him in, they did a great job, because even if this isn't the guy that should be out on the streets like that. And I say that just because of his long, lengthy history. And people who do things and get away with it or get a slap on the wrist, a lot of times they go back to doing the same things or even worse. So it's just been proven. There are some people out here who can, rehab and rehabilitate themselves and, reacquaint themselves back into society. But the as far as the statistics and the odds, it's just not likely that would happen. Again, I do feel like Frazier Baker would still be here with her son and, her family members if this individual was not out. And you know like the family was saying, they just don't understand how she got tied into a monster like that. Someone who would take something that when you pull ice cream or anything out of a freezer, you know, that stuff is hard. And that, like, you just want to throw that and hit somebody in the head with it, or hit them in the back with it. And then, for that person to still be dealing with you, man, they have to either be scared of you, or they just are head over heels in love with you, that they're putting you before everything else that they got going on in their lives to still deal with you. You know, Again, I hate this for a family. My heart goes out to them, and hopefully they're able to get the justice that they deserve, as far as getting some justice for their loved one. Again, stay vigilant. Always, be careful, and definitely vet the people who you have close to you. That's just very, very important. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And again, I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed thus far and going along on this journey with me. I'm gonna just keep reviewing content and trying to bring my perspective and opinion on what's going on in our world out here. It's a crazy world, because every day there's always something new, and we have to shed a spotlight on these type of things. So if we ever come into contact with these type of incidents or situations, we're aware, of maybe what we should do, and you know, how we should carry ourselves as far as, you know, being in these type of situations. So again, I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed. This is Justin Paul. Peace.